Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kechelle, and today we are going to be talking about ranting, raving, ranking, and reviewing all 9 of Riley Sager's published books. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to be reviewing them. I'm going to be reviewing the books. I'm going to be rating them. I'm going to rank them, and then I'm going to give some recommendations. Just a little bit of an introduction. I read my first Riley Sager book back in 2023, going through a little rough patch, and I wanted to pick me up, so I decided to read a thriller. Who does that? I don't know. But the first Riley Sager book I read was, we're going to get some cameos for my dog because I hate to put her in her cage, and as long as she's not bothering me, I leave her out the cage. So, hope that's not distracting for you. Ma'am. As soon as I said that, you just had to show your behind. Back up. And I read this back in October 2023, and I was like, oh my God. Did I just strike a gold mine? Like, who is this Riley Sager person? I need to read more from Riley Sager. So I went from this book immediately into this book, Lock Every Door. And I read this in like one night. I was eating it up, reading it at like 4 o'clock in the morning, could not get enough of it. The next book I read was the only one left. And I listened to that on audio because I was on my way. I was on a road trip that was only supposed to take 4 hours, and it took six whole hours. So I listened to that book and I finished like most of it on audio. And I was like, oh, okay. So after these 3 in quick succession, I was like, is he for me? Is he not for me? Once I get into the rankings, you'll see what I mean. And I decided, let me read some other things. Then when his new release came out last year, middle of the night came out last year, and I read it for Summerween. And I decided at this point, I am going to have to figure out if Riley Sager is for me or not. I've had too many mixed reviews, girl. I mean, what's going on? So this year, when With a Vengeance was released, I decided, you know what I'm gonna do? Light bulb moment. I am going to read all of his backlists leading up to this book. I'm gonna finish with this book. By then I've read 9 books, and I'm gonna be able to tell if I'm going to continue picking up Riley Sager's books or not. I'm just going to jump right in, so this video is not too long. We have 9 books to talk about. So let's start. My least favorite Riley Sager book, Survive the Night. Charlie's roommate was killed by the campus killer who has not been caught yet. So since there are obviously some things that Charlie wants to get away from, she decides in the middle of the semester that she needs to go home. So she decides to go to a job board to figure out if she can get a ride because nobody else can come get her or take her home. And she comes across Josh's ad for a ride share and decides to get into Josh's car, a complete stranger, and ride with him for about 8-9 hours to go home. While this killer is on the loose now. This killer has not been found. She has to come to the realization very soon that she may have made a grave mistake. You think? Okay, so I gave this book like a 1.5. I didn't like it. I did not like it at all. First of all, let's start with the fact that I don't usually enjoy books that start off with an incredibly dumb decision. Because usually the protagonists that made that initial dumb decision are, for lack of a better word, dumb. Okay, and Charlie is not the outlier. I'm not gonna call the girl dumb, but she was making some dumb decisions at every single moment in the book. It was to the point where I was like, Charlie, girl, I mean, do you want to be abducted and killed? Like, just say that. But we should have known that because she got into the car with a stranger. Okay. So as far as it being set in like the 80s or 90s, I also think that's like a cop-out for Riley Sager because he'll do that when he just wants people to be isolated technology-wise. To me, there wasn't that much else that could have pinpointed what decade she was in to me in this book. The only part that was scary is her being in close proximity with somebody who could be a killer. So that was kind of scary, but then you stop being scared for her when she stopped making good decisions. All right. The first twist was kind of a given. The second twist was crazy. And the third, I fear, was iconic. So I'm torn, but the plot twists weren't something that could overcome my disdain for the protagonist and her inner voice. I didn't like being in her head at all. I don't like anything about this book. Next on the list. This is going to be a weird one because it's not like it got a low rating. It's just other books that I enjoyed a lot better than this one. Middle of the Night, which was released last year. So this is the book that made me be like, do I like Riley Sager, or is he just, you know? I feel like he and Frida McFadden are right there with each other. Like, do I like y'all, or do y'all just keep writing books and I'm gonna keep reading books regardless? Out of 8 books, this was his first book with a male protagonist named Ethan. So Ethan's best friend Billy went missing 30 years ago, and Billy was his best friend and his neighbor, so they had spent a lot of time together. One summer night, Billy came over to Ethan's house so they could have so they could camp out in his backyard. You know, just some cutesy fun, whatever, boy time in the backyard, in a tent, in the summertime. Supposed to be like epic night, right? It was epic. So Ethan woke up the next morning and Billy was gone. The tent was slashed and nobody had any idea where he was. It's been 30 years and Ethan is a teacher, so he's on summer break, and he decides to come back to his home in this cul-de-sac to kind of figure out what happened to his best friend. I guess it's been haunting him all his life, child, and now he wants to put everything together. So all in all, this book wasn't bad. I gave it a 3 star. Like, it was decent. The only thing is that, like, it wasn't that scary, and the parts that could have been scary it just needed something else. You know what I mean? I was disappointed in Ethan. I wanted something more from Ethan, like, dude, take a trip or something. Go to the beach, something. I don't know. He was boring. He was boring. He was scary. He wasn't the smartest, but it was all right. You know, some of the twists at the end, I didn't really, I guess 1 or 2 of them, but like Riley Sager, I mean, you're probably not likely to guess all of them. If you're new to thrillers and mysteries, you would probably enjoy this one. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. I just didn't enjoy it because I enjoy some of his other books more. Okay, next we have in the number 6 spot, With a Vengeance. This one is also like, I just like other books better than this one. I gave this one a 3 as well. It was okay. I will say, so with this book, Middle of the Night, there was a dual timeline, and I really enjoy dual timelines. Survive the Night was weird. It wasn't written as your normal chapters, so I won't really speak on that. You just have to read it to experience that. This book, With a Vengeance, did not have any dual timelines. It was segmented in a different way. So the synopsis says, one train, no stops, a deadly game of survival and revenge. In 1942, 6 people destroyed Anna's family. 12 years later, she's ready for retribution. Under false pretenses, Anna has lured these responsible individuals onto a luxury train from Philadelphia to Chicago, which is an overnight journey of 14 hours. Of course, there are going to be some mishaps, some mistakes, some plots, twists, some twists and turns, some reveals, and we also get to understand why these 6 people were chosen. And that's the part that I would have enjoyed as a dual timeline. So if we could have experienced in real time what these people did to cause her family's downfall, and we could have experienced firsthand her family's turmoil and like every part of her family and what they were thinking, because this is written from Anna's perspective. It's 3rd person, I believe, but we're mostly in Anna's head. So if we could have gotten somebody else's perspective, if we could have lived through that with her, I think I would have cared a little bit more about her. As far as the scare factor, it's not that scary really, or that thrilling to me. This one wasn't one of his most thrilling books. However, I can see how people would enjoy this book. The reason this is above the other ones is I did enjoy Anna's character a little bit more. She had an interesting backstory. It was kind of funny, but it was sad, but it was just like, what? The ending / plot twist, it was, it was a twist. Next in the number 5 spot, this is funny because when I originally read this book, I gave it like a 2. I was like, there is absolutely no way. But now that I've read his other books, I am going to stand by the fact that it's still like a 2.5. But the reason I'm going to rank it higher than other books that I think are, a 3, nothing wrong with them, is because at least something was going on. And the book I'm talking about is The Only One Left. So The Only One Left is about this young woman named Kit who was newly fired from her job as a caretaker, and she's looking for new employment, basically. Now, the reason she was fired is a hidden secret that is going to loom over the entire book until it is revealed. So that is one of our mysterious elements of the book. So then she gets an opportunity to be a caretaker for the infamous Lenora Hope, who lives in Hope's End. Yes. So Hope's End is this castle, like huge mansion that is like hanging over a cliff, literally and figuratively hanging over a cliff. And Lenora is the lone survivor of a family massacre. But not only is she the survivor, she's the one that everybody thinks did it, okay? So basically, everybody thinks Lenora killed her whole family. They couldn't prove it. So she's just been living in this house by herself since the late 20s. At this point in the book, we are in the 80s. So it's been about 50 years, okay, since Lenora has killed her whole family. And now Lenora cannot move. She's like paralyzed. And the only thing she can move is her index finger, which she uses to type on a typewriter when she wants to communicate. So not only is this house on a cliff, isolated, and the woman she's taking care of is accused of killing her entire family, not only are all of those things present, but also Lenora's last caretaker went missing in the middle of the night. Girl, and you still took the job? This book is a little slow, just a little bit. This is one of the books that I listened to on audio, and there are moments that I think I almost fell asleep. But the family drama, I love a good family drama. I love some good family tea, some family mess. That was good for me. It was kind of slow. I'm all right with a slow book as long as it's a slow burn. But the twist at the end, there is one in particular twist that pissed me off so bad. It pissed me off so bad that's why, out of my rage, I gave this book a 2. But at least the end of the book was very entertaining. And you couldn't have guessed all of these twists if you tried. There are probably at least 8, and I'm not exaggerating. So that's why The Only One Left gets that one. Okay, so we have a tie for the next spot. Home Before Dark and Final Girls. I couldn't decide which one I liked better. I can't. So since I have this one in my hand, let's just go ahead and talk about Home Before Dark. Home Before Dark is about this young woman named Maggie. She lived in what everybody thinks is a haunted house 25 years ago. And I say everybody thinks because her dad wrote a book about this home that they stayed in, and he claimed that it was so scary and the stuff that was going down in his house was so crazy that they only lived there for 20 days. Can you imagine how scary a house has to be for you to leave with only the clothes on your back after you only been there for 20 days? Baby, Ewan said, come on, Maggie, get your mama, Jess, let's go. Everybody in the car, we gone. And that was it. So now it's been 25 years and Maggie finds out that her dad kept the house and then he gave it to her in his will. Why you ain't sell it, Daddy? Why you ain't sell this house that you said had all of this shit going on with it? Either you lying about something. Something went on in this house, okay? Maggie never believed that the house was haunted because she doesn't believe in ghosts. And she was 5 at the time and she says she doesn't remember anything. So she is on a mission to reconstruct the home and put it on sale for good, as well as basically like prove her daddy's book wrong. We are getting Maggie's perspective now, as well as Ewan, which is her dad, his perspective from 25 years ago. Dual timeline, again, one of my favorite things. I really like it. So the atmosphere of this book, and the thrill, the chill, I give it a 10 out of 10, honestly. Because a haunted house, to me, is probably one of the scariest things, in my opinion. And And there is a scene that I can insert a clip of that was so damn scary, so chilling, and just like, ooh, it makes my skin crawl to this day. To this day, I don't think I'm ever going to look at a coffee cup the same. Ever. As far as the plot twist, the one thing I can say about the dual timeline is if we had gotten the dual timeline as entries from his book, I think I would have enjoyed the plot twist better. Because at the end, I was still a little confused. Because even though the plot twist was like a Riley Sager plot twist, it didn't make sense in some aspects. In some aspects, it didn't make sense. But hey, it is a haunted house, or is it? I don't know. Read it to find out. So the next book is Final Girls, which honestly, I didn't even know that that was a thing until I read this book. I don't know where I've been. Actually, I do. Horror movies are not my thing. They're just not my thing. The plot of this book is 10 years ago, Quincy went on a vacation with 5 of her friends, and she was the only one to make it out alive. And this morbid club that nobody wants to be a part of, she's joined by Sam, who was the lone survivor of a massacre at a sorority house, as well as Lisa, who was found, no, I said that backwards. Okay, so Lisa was the lone survivor of an attack on her sorority house, and Sam was the survivor of an attack on a motel. Okay, cool, I got them backwards. Now, one day, Sam shows up in Quincy's life. Now, Quincy is trying to move on. She is an entrepreneur. She got a boyfriend. She living in New York. She is trying to put the past behind her. But Sam shows up and say, hey, Quincy, girl, you know, how you doing? We final girls. I know we ain't never really met before. But Lisa was just found dead in her apartment, so I'm just going to come kick it with you. You know, I feel like something is afoot. Okay, so Sam goes to Quincy. Quincy allows Sam to stay with her, and they try to find out what happened to Lisa. That's really what happened. That's what this whole book is about. I will say that this book has some interesting parts in it because Sam is batshit crazy, and Quincy, for some reason, is along full of shenanigans. I just had a good time because they was crazy. And the plot twist at the end was a plot twist, and then there was another plot twist, and both of those plot twists was just like, yeah, Riley Sager, I see what you did there. So I just put it up this high because, like I said, I just enjoyed the ride more than most of these down here at the bottom. Okay, so now we're about to get into my top 3 Riley Sager books. Coming in at number 3, Lock Every Door, the book that I had to stay up to read. This is one of the books, one of his books that I had to stay up to read, and I was like falling asleep, trying to keep my eyes open, trying to figure out what happens next. So in this book, we're following this young girl named Jules, who is down on her luck and she needs a job. So she decides to become a house sitter in this high-rise apartment in Manhattan. Her job is just to sit in this apartment while this rich and famous woman go do her business. The only problem is there are a few rules that just don't make sense and make this job seem like they playing in her face. Okay, the first one is, number 1, she cannot have visitors ever. Number 2, she cannot spend a night away from the house. And number 3, she cannot disturb the other rich and famous residents. Also, when she arrives to this weird building that seemed like it's still stuck in the 30s, the woman is asking her some crazy questions. She asking her questions like, what y'all got going, that would make you think, what y'all got going on in this building? But yeah, the atmosphere of this book, immaculate, 10 out of 10. The plot twist, would have never guessed it. Absolutely would have never guessed it. And as crazy as it is, yeah, this one was a good time. And I would recommend this one as well as Home Before Dark for anybody who's just getting into mystery, thrillers, whatever. Okay, my second favorite Riley Sager book. This is gonna be, both of these are gonna be controversial. I already know, so you know, put your thumbs down. You don't type so fast. Number 2, The Last Time I Lied. Now let me tell y'all. Okay, 5 years ago, Emma Davis went to this summer camp where she had to bunk with some girls that were older than her because she was like really late to arrive, and the girls her age, their bunk was already full. So Emma got put in a bunk with these 3 other girls who were kind of the main girls of the camp. They had been going to that camp for years and years and years, and they were notorious for being mean girls. So Emma is in there. She hanging with them in the cabin. She going out with them to the lunch. She getting the rules of the game. And they're playing Never Have I Ever, like all the time. Not never. They're playing 2 Truths and a Lie, like all the time. The leader of this group, that was her favorite game to play. It's 15 years later. She minded her business, and the director of the camp decides she wants to reopen it because it closed down after these 3 girls were missing. Did I tell y'all that? All 3 of, okay, so all 3 of her roommates just went missing in the middle of the night one night, never seen again. They never found their bodies. So the camp shuts down. The director reopens the camp, or the owner of the camp reopens the camp and finds Emma and says, hey, would you like to teach art at this camp? Since Emma is like a world-renowned artist now. Emma at first declines because of the past, but then she's like, you know what? I should go, and then I should try to figure out what happened to my 3 best friends. And she does. And she does. This is also a dual timeline. I think I enjoyed this dual timeline more than, I ain't gonna say more than anything, but almost, it was probably one of my favorite dual timelines of Riley Sager's. I never knew I needed a summer camp mystery thriller in an all-girls cabin, summer vibes type of thing. I never knew I needed that, and this is what it serves, okay? I enjoyed the vibes. I enjoyed the plot twist. The plot twist was twisting. It's probably my favorite. And if you have not caught on yet, I think what gears my rankings is the plot twist. And this one, both of them were really good and well done, in my opinion. Okay, and the only one that I haven't talked about yet, my absolute favorite Riley Sager book of all time, The House Across the Lake. I know. This one, I think, is very controversial. People either hate this book or they love it. And I've seen more people who hate it than love it, and I just don't get it. I don't understand, y'all. This book is about this woman named Casey who has had a hard fall from grace as a theater actress in New York City. She goes out to her family's lake house to relax, rejuvenate, and live a sober life. Per her mom's instructions. She doesn't do that. She is minding her business, just sitting out looking at the lake at her folks' lake house, when this woman across the lake that lives in the house across the lake goes for a swim and starts to drown. So Casey goes out to save this woman. She finds out her name is Catherine. She's a gorgeous model. She and her tech genius husband moved into this modern home made of all windows, and they are in direct eyesight of Casey at all times. So Casey and Catherine become friends. Catherine comes over every now and again. They talk. They've sparked up a friendship. And Casey decides that she's gonna mind her business. She doesn't. She uses binoculars to spy on this couple. Weird, I know. Just go with me, okay? And at one point she witnesses Catherine's husband kill her. Or he does something. So Casey is like, not my girl. So she goes on a mission to figure out what happened to the woman in the house across the lake, to the couple in general. So I enjoyed this because the vibes, all right? For this, I think this is a dual timeline, but not his usual. So there are 2 different ways that Riley Sager can do a timeline. He does a timeline that's like very near past, like he'll start out like a week before, 6 days before, 5 days before, and it leads up to what actually happened. Or he does it like from the way back, you know what I mean? And this is one of the ones that was in the near future, I believe. After we come to grips with what actually happened, we are getting some flash forwards of what actually happened, I believe. And I enjoyed that. And the twist on page 248, it's either 248 or 268. That twist alone is one line. It's like one line. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The vibe of this book gives me like a murky, lake, foggy. What's going on with the people at the lake? Like, are the people at the lake, are they a close-knit family or are they killers? Because what's going on? You got characters in this book that you just don't even know like what their motives are. She also has a past that's crazy, as they all do. And I understand why people had a problem with Riley Sager's female characters. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But this is my favorite because the plot twist was crazy. 10 out of 10, would recommend. I do. Okay. So now that we have gone through all of my favorites, all of my Riley Sager books, and how I rank them, let's talk about some book recommendations. I only have a few. I don't have a recommendation for every single book. Now, like I said, these book recommendations are not they're not like identical, but these are some things that I would recommend if you have not read them. In my opinion, Survive the Night starts off with an incredibly dumb decision. And if you want to read another book that starts off with an incredibly dumb decision, I have two for you. Number one, The Wife Before by Shanora Williams. That was a dumb decision because she thinks that this man she's falling in love with may have killed his wife before and she still marries him. Wild in my mind. And also Claw Heart Mountain by David I forget how to pronounce his last name. There's a group of teenagers, college students. It's a group of college students on spring break that go to a cabin just to have fun. They see a money truck that has fallen over and the money is spilling out the back and they decide to take the money. Dumb decision. Okay, those are my two options. For Middle of the Night, so there's an element of this book that involves the entire neighborhood community and what they got going on. Were they a part of it? Were they not a part of it? And because of that, something that gives me neighborhood vibes, who's in on it, who's not, is Perfectly Nice Neighbors by Kia Abdullah. It's about this woman who moves. It's an Indian family who moves to an all-white neighborhood. They put a Black Lives Matter sign in their yard and the neighborhood is not having it. They knock over the sign. So the main character puts it back up and then it just snowballs from there. Another book that gives me like what's going on in this neighborhood vibes is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I love Alyssa Cole. And this is about a all-black neighborhood in New York that is starting to become gentrified. But as they gentrify the neighborhood, the neighbors go missing. Or The House Across the Lake. If you want like spooky lake vibes, then you could read Still House Lake by Rachel Kane. This is a complete series. It's not complete, but this is a whole series of like 6 books. I've read the first 3, and it's about this woman who finds out her husband is a serial killer one day because she's on her way home. Somebody drove through their garage and there was a unalived woman hanging from the ceiling of her garage. So that's how she found out her husband was a serial killer. She gets her kids, they go on the run, and somebody is still coming after them. That's what Still House Lake by Rachel Kane is about. Very good. Very, very, very good. I love that book. The Last Time I Lied, about girls living together, bunking together, and one of them, well, 3 of them go missing in this book. If you want something kind of like that, I would suggest Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I have not read this book yet, but it is about this young girl who is living, I think something similar to a boarding school. Yeah, she's living in a boarding school after being homeschooled for a period of time. And one of her roommates, or her new roommate, goes missing. So kind of the same vibes there. My next book recommendation is for Home Before Dark. If you enjoyed the haunted house feel, is the house haunted? Is it not haunted? Let's find out together. Then I would recommend Model Home by Rivers Solomon. And they kind of match. I would recommend this. This is about a 3 Maxwell siblings who were living in a home in, I think they were the first Black family to move into this all-white suburb outside of Houston, and their home is haunted. Or is it? All 3 Maxwell sisters move on. Something happens to their family, so they all have to return to the house, and they are faced with the realities of what happened in this home years prior. The last one is one of the books that I don't have a physical copy of, Final Girls. This one is a stretch. And I admit that. However, the book that I recommend is Never Lie by Frida McFadden because it's kind of good. And Frida McFadden is controversial. Frida McFadden is one of those authors who I assign, just like Riley Sager, they're kind of the same to me. Like, do I like you? Do I not like you? Are you? Riley Sager at least doesn't have the thing of being problematic. Sometimes Frida McFadden does, and that has me on edge. But however, never lie, to me it was pretty good. So that is the end of my video for Riley Sager. I really, really hope you guys enjoyed my ranking, my ratings, and my reviews for Riley Sager. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.